Welcome to the Life in Flow podcast.
The three of us, Yulia, Polina, and Irina, are exploring what life in flow and flow in life is.
Join us as we experiment, test our diverse hypotheses, and have fun in the process.
Will we find an answer?
This isn't just an intellectual discussion. We're co-creating a shared field beyond words. We're attuning to what emerges moment by moment, so that the conversation itself becomes a group flow experience.
And we invite you to become an active participant in this experiment. There will be pauses and moments of silence. We leave them on purpose because this is where magic happens.
Go beyond the intellectual information. Listen with your whole body and notice how your somatic experience shifts in the process. Share with us what reveals itself in the space where mind, body, and energy flow together.
Welcome back to Life in Flow. And today we're exploring a question that keeps surfacing in our own conversations, in our work, in our lives. How does trust emerge? Is it built? Is it chosen? Is it felt? And what does trust have to do with flow? We're not here to give answers so much as to sense into what this is for each of us. So whether you're here with us live or you're listening later, we invite you to explore with us, not just in your mind, but also in your whole system, in your breath, in your body, and your attention. And now let's play a little word association game that is creative, and it's nonlinear thinking, and it gets us a little bit more into the topic. And what I invite you to do in this game is not only to engage your analytical brain, but also engage your body, your presence, your breath. The topic we're associating words with, I apologize, is trust. So what words emerge as we connect to that topic of trust? So for me, it's actually warmth.
I think for me it's stability, or maybe not stability, but like you feeling grounded.
Curious that, like, when I thought initially about trust, the words that came to me were surrender and precipice. When Yulia started talking about stability, I had the word centering, which you like more in line with the grounded. But when Polina said the word warmth, you like actually my whole state shifted. It was not the word, but I just had this image of, I don't know, something gradient of colors that flowing into each other.
Yeah, I think warmth resonated with me as well. I guess it's kind of this something that feels pleasantly heavy in the lower chest. like in the area of sternum, and it's soft but springy, and it creates some space. That's how it feels. And it also grounds because it's on the heavier side.
Yeah, it makes me feel of and think back to like the sensory sensation I used to have under this big, thick, beautiful blanket my grandma used to put over me. And being under a blanket like that, you're almost in a cocoon, and there's that sensation of warmth and trust, and you're pausing the world for a brief amount of time. But also Precipice, that was a powerful resonance for me as well, because there is this sensation of tension as I engage with the concept of trust, tension of trusting or not trusting. Is it a bit of a fall into trust, or is it a bit of a, can I? So that definitely elicited like a sensory experience in my body as I engaged with that.
Yeah, to me, at this point of my life, I guess, like with all the experiences I'm going through internally, mostly, it's really more associated with like another phrase came to me, the leap of faith. And I really visualize myself just like plunging into the like vastness of uncertainty and darkness, but not necessarily like in the bad sense, but just the vastness of unknown. And as you were talking about the warmth, and we were like exploring these feelings of all these sensations, grounding sensations. So like my darkness was sort of starting feeling out with some kind of, let's call it energy that sort of holds me in this vastness. Like I'm surrounded by light in the darkness, and this light keeps me suspended, something like this. The curious dream.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to visualize, and it kind of feels. I'm not sure how I would feel being in the vastness and only held by this. I don't know how big or how powerful this light structure is.
Yeah, it also made me feel like, wait, is there like a lot of pressure and tension on this? Like this whatever it is that's the light thing is like, is it a physical thing? Is it like an energetic thing?
I feel like energetic can't be physical.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, one more thing, I guess, that's coming up as you're describing the darkness and that expanse. I think it's actual stillness and maybe slowing down, because I know that if I don't slow down, I'm not gonna keep my trust.
Yeah, I could really feel that actually.
Actually, like when you said slowing down, speeding up immediately came up to me. And it's actually like the two processes that emerge together. So like you need to slow down in order to it was some. It's like this: like you slow down, or I slow down, and in this slowing down into presence, what happens is some kind of quantum jump.
Okay. Yeah.
Quantum jump in trust or in something else?
All of this is happening in the space of trust.
Like a creative quantum jump. Like something actually becomes something different.
Yeah, like it's like the immediate shift of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so like in the slowing down, there's actually an immediate shift in reality, and there's a sensation of actually speeding up in ways.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, I get that. That's super cool. Yeah. Okay, I want you to stay with these sensations as we transition into the next part, and I'm going to set it up a little bit. So I want to name something that feels important about how we're exploring trust, not just what we're saying about it in this specific episode. And the style of asking is a bit poetic, a bit open-ended. It's not designed to push or pull for answers. It's more designed to be a non-linear exploration of trust. And what we're going to be doing here is really forming kind of a trust field between us. We're going to trust that the questions will land how they need to, and the answers will emerge as they need to. And we're going to allow some pauses, and some emptiness and some aliveness in the space between us. So, the practicing of trust is actually in this exercise itself. So I'm gonna ask a few questions with some pauses in between to let you actually tune in to the question to see what's emerging. And then we will see what comes up for our discussion afterwards. Okay. So, what's the moment just before trust appears? Where does your body say yes before your mind does? Have you ever realized you were trusted after the fact? Can you be in flow and not in trust? Or trust and not be in flow? So let's open it up now. What came up for you as you sat with these? Is there one that you feel more pulled to speak into?
Actually, something that came up by the end, and it's is there flow if there is no trust, and vice versa. And it's not an answer, but this is something that came up recently in a conversation with some people, some Germans actually, and we discussed trust as kind of like your state. If you live in a certain society, you're low trust and high trust, and the structure and let's say the system, the social system, the political system, or the family system, right? They have a lot of say in whether you trust or not. And so my default setting with trust for a very, very long time, I'd say, I don't know, before recently, maybe a couple of years ago, it was always distrust, deep distrust. And I guess in my mind and how I was trying to think about it, it was distrust of the outside world. But I think the two cannot be separated. I think trust is either there or not. I mean, like, of course, you do make a decision about a person, about the situation, but basically, it's the same source. Like, if you don't have a source of trust, then yeah, it's neither there for the environment where you live or for yourself. Yeah, that's what I was.
Can I ask you some clarifying questions? I'm curious.
Mhm.
Are you describing the difference between the trust as a concept versus a state? And then there's also a choice that I heard. I wonder, is that a third aspect of trust for you?
What do you mean by choice?
You said that you spent a lot of time mistrusting because of the environment, right? So would that be a state of mistrust? Would that be a trust, like the state of being, yeah? But also there was a mental aspect, right? Because you also made a decision that you're not trusting for
Yeah.
very good reasons. Yes? Am I getting that right? And was there a third aspect to what you were describing as well?
Well, I'm not sure I can just break it out into different aspects and analyze it on the spot. That was not really part of my, I guess, whatever came up. I'm, I'm thinking, of course, the thinking and the feeling and the sensing, they were all part of this state of trust, I guess, that evolved. But what do we usually go with? The default way to go is with thinking and the brain. And for me, it was the leading way to think about it. I thought that I could actually, this is a decision that I made to trust and not to trust, and I can make another decision, which now I don't believe. I think that, it's not about maybe making a decision, a conscious decision, or creating an intention is part of feeling more trust, but it's not by far not the main ingredient.
I really resonate with the way you described it. I feel like I also spent a majority of my life in a state of distrust, both as a choice, like a protective choice, but also as a state of being. I guess because of the protection that I was seeking. And there was still like a third element, and I'm saying that it's a third element because I don't really know how to describe it exactly, but there was still a sense of like something else, like maybe in the observer self of it all, or in the connection to something higher that still like led me through that state. And also trait, I feel like it was also a trait-based distrust because of the culture we come from and the family dynamics and the time, right? But there was a sense of trust, within all of that, but it was outside of like kind of that structure. And I think that's the element that I've integrated with more, and that has kind of led me back to this, like actually playing with, living into trust, kind of like figuring out a way to embody this, not just concept, but really this energetic presence of being, I want to say. That's what was emerging for me.
I like the energetic presence of being. The thing is that while you were asking the questions, a lot of things were coming to me. And as we continue talking, like things keeping coming and they keep coming. And so like my mind starts, okay, what do I need to say? Like, how do I formulate all of this into a coherent discourse? Like how to phrase all of it. Do we have time to express all of this? So here for me, in my experience right now, this what is emerging is this question of like, how do I trust the immersion experience itself? That just what is the most important, that it will take its form on its own if I just let it and will stop trying to control the process with my mind. What drew my attention when Yuna was speaking was the source of trust. What is it? Where is it? I believe Yuna said that it's actually the same. It's like for the trust in the outside world is for the trust within. But if it's the same, like where is it still? Like, is it out there? Is it within me? Is it in the divine providence? Because actually, I don't know how to make a logical connection with the mind between these two things, but somehow I feel that there is a connection. Your first question was, what appears the moment right before trust? And what emerged for me was exactly this. Actually, I had the new word that describe all this vastness and darkness that I was talking before, and it's emptiness. So for me, this moment before the trust emerges, there is this emptiness, this precipice, which creates tension. Yes, you're like a felt like, do I make this choice? Do I make this step of like leap of faith of trusting that there in this emptiness and this vastness, I will be held by the light, by whatever will emerge, like I will be able to sustain it. Because I think this is what it just came to me. the problem of trust I have, at least, in whatever, in like in myself, in the world outside, is exactly this not knowing, or actually even more the fear, like the expectation that the fear that I will not be able to sustain the experience that is awaiting for me, like behind this leap of faith.
Mm.
So I guess trust in whatever means trusting that whatever happens, like whatever the experience will be for me, the internal experience, the external, doesn't matter. Because we tend to think that the trust is, okay, I trust that everything will happen as I want it to happen. And when it doesn't happen the way we expected, then the trust is broken. Oops, we have a problem. But when this source of trust, when I trust that whatever happens, I will be able to sustain it, then it doesn't matter, like whether the light holds me or I'm falling down in the darkness and these, like I'm suspended in the emptiness. It doesn't matter what happens. It's about like what happens within me. So I guess like what is emerging out of all of this blah blah blah, that I guess my conclusion is at the moment that this is the source of trust, and it's within me. It's just like my readiness to sustain the experience, whatever the experience is.
Thank you for verbalizing that. You just took me on a journey, and I was like I was so with you. There are like all of those elements are present. Especially this like tension about going with the trust, and then this fear that I also have that comes up about, can I sustain, and this thing that will happen if I trust and go with this like kind of embodied sensation of energy and flow. Really, it's actually a question of, if I trust and let myself get into this flow, can I sustain it? I don't know what part of me gets freaked out and worried about this aspect, but there's definitely a part that always gets a little bit worried. Not a little bit, I would say a lot. And also, I there is this before trust emerges, what's right the moment right before it. And for me, the right before it is, I don't know if it's emptiness, it's more like, where's my observer self? Like which self am I gonna go with? The like the one that holds all of it, the more expanded one, or the one that is like in the experience? Like there's almost like a how do we which lens are we gonna use for this like kind of experience? But it is almost coming back to what's already there the whole time. So the question is like, why am I not living from that place of trust and in that flow the whole time? What part steps out of that experience and why? But it definitely for me also brings up kind of a response as to, can there be flow without trust? And I don't feel like there can. I think that in order for the flow experience to actually happen, you would have to have at least either a trust of your physical self, or a trust in your internal capacity and ability, or a trust that like your brain can figure stuff out, right? I don't know. That's what's kind of that's what's emerging for me around that.
Well, sometimes, or actually a lot of times, it's trust that something beyond the brain will figure it out, and that the things like you in all interconnectedness, but also the forces, like if we go to these flow experience, extreme flow experiences of mountain climbers and people who engage in extreme sports, they all say that it involves trust in something beyond you. Trust in the mountain, trust in whatever, like the energy that will hold you, pick you up, show you the way.
Oh, I love that
the
trust in the
process.
mountain. Go ahead, Ir.
No, yeah, trust in the mountain. It sounds powerful.
It didn't even occur to me to have trust in the mountain. Yes.
Are you rock climbing?
What?
Are you rock climbing?
No, but I was just imagining when I have gone skiing on some of the scarier slopes, there was definitely like trusting the moment, the energy, my higher self, like future, like all of that. But I actually never thought about trusting the mountain. So that was a cool one. I need to play with that.
Yeah. But again, like this trust, I guess what I'm thinking about now, okay, there is a source of trust and it's something fundamental. And for example, if we go to model that I really like, the polyvagal theory, right? Trust goes to this setting where we feel, or we know what it is to feel safe. We're familiar with this feeling of safety in the world. Well, like I used to take it as feeling safe just on my own and with my own. Now I think it's feeling safe with the world because I'm never on my own. And what was I going to say? Yeah, and I don't even remember where I was going with this. Actually, my idea was that it involves a lot of kind of like trying and errors, maybe practicing trust, because yes, so there is a source of trust, and there is also things that you're supposed to do in practical terms to maintain this source, to feed this source, to cultivate the source. Because if you don't, then the source itself probably is not going to do much.
I agree. I think like to all these topics of that we and I don't think that it's the common experience for all people, but taking into account our background, like we're coming from the country, the whole like the historical background of extreme instability, prolonged instability.
And just in case we didn't mention this time where we're coming from, and we're coming from Russia.
I don't think that we will mention it in every episode.
But since we're talking about it now, the country.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can imagine that there could be people who, grew up in the nurturing, stable environment. They might have this sense of trust in themselves, in life, and whatever, just deeply ingrained. It doesn't mean that it can't be broken at a certain point or challenged, at least. But yeah, so like when you come, even just like from the culture that I used to be always on the alert and always like expecting that, yeah, like tomorrow we don't know what will happen, so we like trust in the world, the external environment. Like it's a weird concept. So like when we're talking about whether trust is a choice, I don't think that like this trust is a state, is the default state. is actually choice, because it's the default. Just you're not conscious about it. You're just like absorb it with the environment, with culture, with mentality, with everything what surrounds you. So just you don't make a choice, you just live like this. You have to make a choice at a certain point to start trusting whatever. Life, the world, yourself, people, like it depends on the personal context. And this, yes, is all it's always, first of all, it requires the decision, the personal decision. Now, like I want to learn to trust. It requires this leap of faith. You like jumping into this precipice because you want to explore something you didn't know before. If you are coming from the default state of distrust, so like how do you know what trust is? So you need to jump into the precipice. And then it requires a lot of practice. So if the constant repetitive practice of making this decision time and again and failing, and because again, when we are playing with this, okay, I will trust that everything will happen as I want, my mind wants it to happen. Oops, Houston, we have a problem. So you like finding this, your own path on this slippery path of, okay, decide to trust, but do I trust myself? Do I trust my destiny? Do I trust that the universe will bring me everything I want if I vibrate the good vibrations? Or do I trust that whatever happens, in the end, I will be able to sustain everything? These are all the different trusts, and it requires a lot of practice. And it's the like very long-term journey of exploration, actually, of this personal relationship with trust in different elements of the path.
Yeah. Like the different layers that are all involved. And as you were describing your experience and the way you see it, for me, what was emerging was like the only thing you could truly trust is that in this moment, specifically right now, here, whatever can emerge will. Like you can trust that. And the more prepared you are in terms of maybe information or data that the energy can gather in your head and you know, send through your mouth and verbalize into the world, or however prepared you are energetically, how clear kind of your ability to connect to yourself, to connect to the energy, connect to whatever it is that is pulling on those levers that create that experience of kind of trust, and also what's the word, like the, it's almost like a co-creation, moment by moment co-creation that is driven by how aware and tuned in you are, but also tuned out into like the whole spectrum of all the layers involved all at the same time.
So what I'm thinking about now is improv comedy, because this is my place where I've been practicing trust. It was not always fun. Actually, a lot of times it's not fun. And I think there are a few insights. If I think about it in the context of improv, first, what comes before trust? For me, it's fear and distrust. And then I need to slow down to create some stillness and to regain that trust. And then when I go on stage, let's say the trust is, of course, you cannot prepare to, right? Because it's improv. So the trust is that yes, I will come up with something, that my partner will come up with something, that the whole space will somehow help this to happen, and that failure, and I've done that quite a few times where I felt like, oh my God, that was so lame. That was so lame. Nothing came from me, well, maybe something from the party, but definitely not from me. And so in this case, after a few times, I was like, okay, now I trust that if I fail this time, or if the failure is there, it's maybe not me per se who failed it, then this is something that I need. I trust in that this is something that's gonna teach me and help me go forward. Actually, it was the case already a couple of times. So when I started to look at it like that every time that I feel really uneasy on stage and that I didn't understand something or I couldn't come up with anything remotely good enough, that moment makes me kind of like, I don't know, lean in, and then the next time things get better.
Two things came to me while you were speaking, and I will try to weave it all together. I'm not sure that it will be very logical. And actually, like, I had two pictures when you started talking, that you're like, that there's a fear, and then you're like, I need to trust that everything just somehow will happen what is supposed to happen. And even the failure, you're like, we need to redefine the word failure and the experience of failure. But as you said, if this redefinition is failure, so that means it doesn't correspond to my expectations, but it means that there is something in this experience, and I need this something. So what came to my mind was like the image from your favorite series, the Wheel of Time, when in this initiation ritual, when she was like falling down the river.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like this is the very beautiful image of really like learning, trust in the process, trust in life. Like I'm just surrender and I let this flow take me to where I need to be taken.
But then also, she was also applying some effort, right?
Yes, it requires effort in a lot of sense. First it requires effort. You're like surrender is also always an effort, because you need to like get away from your previous state of control. So this is what came to me when Paulina was talking about that you need to be prepared. But the question is, can you be prepared for the unknown? So it's always because I remember this moment in my life when I consciously decided that I wanted to learn to trust life. And there is this big question still, like I alluded to it already several times. Like, what does it mean, trust in life? That I trust that the universe will fulfill my wishes, that if I behave in a certain way, or I trust that whatever experience life will take me to is exactly like this river, will be the experience for whatever reason I need to be in. Another, and coming back to this, stance that it's a constant practice. It's still, so like I remember I made this conscious decision. It was like 2016, and I finally realized that I don't want to set goals anymore. I can't live in this mode of goal setting and goal achieving and making decisions from these strategic plans of, okay, I'm going this way. Okay, I'm surrendering. And it is the constant practice of, sometimes it turns into a fight because this expectation of the unknown against, no, I want these things to happen, and they go another way, and it creates this anxiety. How will I survive this if it doesn't happen the way I want it to happen? And it requires this constant exercise. Okay, like I'm going back to my decision that I will trust that whatever happens, somehow I need this experience. And so I will just live this experience and I will learn from it. And most probably it will not be the experience my mind wants for me. So the other thing that came to me when Yulia was speaking was this phrase from, do you remember Shakespearean Love? It was the scene that was constantly repeating, when whatever happens, everything is a problem. Everyone is in the anxiety. Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And someone is saying, it will all sort out somehow. Yeah, but how? I don't know. It's a mystery.
It's so true. It's a constant experiment, a bit like from what you're describing and also what Yulia was describing. That's what I'm really playing with even in today's episode. I am one of those people that's like, let me throw all the facts out there and do all the research and be like on top of all of the scientific opinions about this topic. But this time around, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I did my research, I prepared, and then I just let it go because I was trusting that whatever needs to arise, and not even from my lips, but from the two of you, whatever needs to arise around this topic at this particular point in time, and in a short episode, one of many that we're going to do, that that it will arise, and that really does require a letting go, a tuning out of something, tuning into something else. Still preparation, just so that's the, let's say, some of the facts or some of the thoughts are available at least somehow, in the data channel, but not really kind of driving the controlling aspect of like, no, this has to come from the data channel. And today, actually, I wanted to tune out of the data channel almost more than ever before and tune into like the space and the energy and the trust of the three of us, and the trust that whatever needs to emerge will. Not sure how well it went today, but I'm hoping that it's like another step in this experiment towards just like the flow of all of it. Like this big vision of flow.
And speaking about flow and trust, one of your questions was, if there is trust, will there always be flow? And my answer is no. Like, for example, yeah, exactly. If we're trusting now ourselves that something will emerge between the three of us and between the space and the world and the topic of trust, it may not happen, or it may not flow. And that's okay, because we also discussed that there is a difference between, let's say, flow in the moment, flow as a process, and life and flow. It just means that whatever we're doing right now we do have trust that it's somehow within the flow of life, or this is truly our flow in life at the moment. It's like, it sounds a little bit too complicated for me.
No,
but
no. I think it's wonderful. The flow in the absence of flow.
yeah,
The flow in the absence of flow.
Yeah, we say
the
that
bigger
if
flow.
we trust that whatever experience emerges for me
Right.
at any moment is exactly the experience that I need to be in at this moment. So if for whatever reason I need to experience the absence of flow because I'm still at the learning stage,
Yeah.
so I'm still in the process of like living in the flow, like on the long term, I'm trusting that it will all sort it out. And I don't know how, it's a mystery.
Well, but still effort. The effort part is definitely still part of it. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to trust the process and I'm going to trust the flow and it's all just going to take care of itself. Um, I feel like flow is where preparation meets trust, meets um the ability to connect, meets a bunch of elements coming together. It's like really a quite complicated set of like pieces all coming together and also coming together from moment to moment to moment. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I totally share what Yula said. Coming back to the question, is trust always present in flow, and does trust always mean that there is flow? So I agree. Yes, the trust is the one of the prerequisites on the flow, but it's not sufficient for flow to emerge.
yeah, I could see that. I could see that distinction. That's yeah. Okay. So I think we are going to start closing up this episode. And I'm going to invite us and the listener to sit with some of these questions that we have discussed today and not rush to answer them, really explore them. Not just from your mental perspective, but also from the somatic experience of trust and flow. And I invite you to ponder what does your body already know about trust? And what might trust feel like in your body in the next conversation or the next breath? And if something opens up for you, we'd love to hear from you. Please send us a note, leave a message. This is a co-creation. This is a big experiment that we're engaged in, and we definitely want to engage with you, the listener, as well as we're engaging with each other. And just to leave things, I want to ask each one of you, what are you leaving with today?
Actually, the last couple of minutes, as we're discussing things like this question around people was coming up for me that I didn't have an answer for, because with people, when you experience so much, I guess, betrayal in your life, and it's almost a given that you do, and it's not something that you have control over. How do you keep this trust with people? And what was coming up as my response at the moment? I'm at the point where I've more or less restored trust for people and with people, again, without expectations, as Irina says, that it's I don't expect people to behave according to my expectations. I expect that I will be able to handle in whatever way they behave. And I can also make a choice who I connect and deal with. But what coming for me was that if I were to choose one focal point from which I would need to build up my trust as the source, then it would be, it would not be people. I would not start with people. I would actually start with trees and plants or animals, because I think that they offer much more reciprocation, at least in the form that you need and expect, than lots of times people do, especially if you come from this kind of low trust environment and life full of humans betraying. I was just I had this image in my head because I went to the forest today and I was not feeling well at all, and I could not understand why I was not feeling well. And then there was something, a super interesting plant, the way it looked. And I went there, and there was a tree, and there was a root that was sticking out of the ground. And when I sat down, it's if that root was and that tree was inviting me, and they lured me, through the flower. And I sat there, and all of a sudden, I felt this wave of comforting energy that I could trust. And I spent like 2 hours there, and then I was lying down and in that tree. So that's what, I wanted to finish with.
Thank you, Yulia. How about you, Ira?
I must say, I want to say two things. First, that this conversation has been an exercise of trust for me, trust in the process, that like everything will emerge as it needs to be emerged. And I need to have it all figured out in the mind. And actually, it helped me to find my own source of trust. Like the source of trust is something that resonated deeply with me, and my inexperience of my life trajectory lately has been all about this inner struggle for and with and against the trust in myself, or the lack of it, and trust in the any other external forces, external environment and circumstances, whatever. So so my inexperience of everything what is going on in my life has been this, that I am hanging in this vastness of darkness and emptiness, and I don't know if I can trust myself to get out of it, or if I can trust this, everything what's around me to let me to get out of it. But actually, our conversation led me to install this realization that it's not about trusting that I will be able to get out of it, or that there will be more light, or whatever, more stability, more ground, or that. But it trusts that I will be able to sustain it. Whatever happens for me in this emptiness, darkness, and precipice. And it was quite an important insight.
And for me, I just appreciate that we have this container to experiment with things like flow and trust. And this was also a big experiment in trust for me, even going through, this very loose kind of structure of this episode. And not being as engaged with my mental faculties as I usually am. This was a new experiment, and it was actually kind of cool, but also like it requires practice. The more we do all these experiments and the more I trust myself and I trust the two of you and I trust the field to try different things, the more it's kind of like almost a self-building mechanism towards like in this direction that I really like and I want to stretch into even more. So I really appreciate that the two of you are so willing to play and try different things, even if our rational minds don't always agree. It is definitely overall an experiment in trust.
Yeah. Okay.
So thank you, both of you, and thank you for joining us for those of you who are listening. And thanks for playing with us. And please reach out, share what your experience is, share your thoughts and your sensory experiences. We want to hear from you. Okay, until next time.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. How was it for you? We believe that the more people experience group flow together, the better off we all are. More connected, more creative, more alive. So let's expand the field.
If this episode resonated with you, help us spread the word. Share it with a friend, leave a comment, or give us a rating. We love you.
Do subscribe so you'll know when the next experiment comes out. You can also connect with us on our Life and Flow group Substack. We'd love to hear from you. Let's keep flowing together.